Hello, and welcome to episode 90 of the Dash News podcast, the big 9-0. I'm Mark Mason, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts, Brian, aka Mastermind. How are you?
Excellent.
Okay, and I purposely switched it round because joining us live from New Hampshire from the Liberty Forum is Joelle and Justin. How's it going, guys?
I'm doing fantastic. What about you?
I am also doing fantastic.
We're staying quite dashy today, as it turns out.
Yeah, especially Justin. Look at that tie. That is amazing.
Specifically for today.
Excellent. And joining us all the way from Switzerland is Fabio. How's it going, Fabio?
Hello from Switzerland, from Uster near Zurich in Switzerland.
So this might actually be the first time the community might be seeing your face, because I'm sure those in the community, you've been around for a long, long time. So everyone knows the name Fabio, but this may be the first time they're actually seeing your face. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. There's some videos in German where one can see my face, but I've never addressed the English-speaking community, I think.
Right. So let's just talk about how you're involved in the community, because you've been with Dashforce from the very inception, from the beginning. But you've always been active in the community. I think I spoke to you before, even before Dashforce back in the day, right? So just want to talk about your brief history and how you're involved.
I stumbled upon Darkcoin back then on the Bitcoin Talk forum, and I was starting to hear troubles. I'm into Bitcoin since 2011. I have a financial market background, so a nerdy computer friend of mine told me about Bitcoin, and it took me a long time to really get it. But then, as a libertarian, I was super excited about it, and I followed the Bitcoin community quite closely, especially here from Berlin. And that's where I met a couple of people like Mike Hearn, for instance. I met him once and spoke to him about the governance problem that Bitcoin has. It wasn't called that way back then, but the initial problems. And I thought, well, let's have a look at the other coins. And I somehow stumbled upon Darkcoin and followed the Bitcoin Talk forum and the development. And I always wanted to stay somehow neutral and see it as an investment, but due to the tribalism on Bitcoin Talk and the fights with the Monero trolls, etc., I kind of fell in love with the community and with the project, and follow it ever since. I wrote about it in some German media, made videos, and then fast forward to 2017, I met Jan through aka Ezra from now Dash Embassy through Steemit, and I had a proposal in the summer on my own in, I think it was May or June 2017 for a conference. And so Jan got to see how Dash works, how the DAO works, what a proposal is, and that's when he got the idea with the embassy. And so I know the guys from the embassy pretty well. And yeah, fast forward to today. Now I'm here with friends of mine. We are working on a peer-to-peer exchange with a German BaFin license. We got the license after more than 4 years of basically paperwork going back and forth with the Bundesbank and BaFin, but now we have the license, and we hope to launch soon. And another project is a decentralized invoice paying service that's also going to have Dash on board. And
now, will that only work for Europe, or will that be global?
We will start with Europe and Switzerland. As for the US, we are research on what you guys are actually doing over there, because as far as we understand it, you hardly do any wire transfers. So that's what we have been told. And in the service here works like you upload your insurance bill, for instance, and someone else pays the fiat and gets your coins. And apparently that doesn't work that way in the US. That's what we've
Yes.
been told.
I
The
think
wire fees are high. Yeah.
it's also difficult. I know there have been a few crypto bill pay services in the US before. However, they keep on getting shut down because the banking partners, just the banks close down their accounts. It's just the US banking system is very hostile to crypto.
Yeah, but I think we found a solution, because it's peer-to-peer. Like you pay from
Okay.
private to private to private entity.
You've been working on this for years as well, haven't you? But you just haven't wanted to go too public with it until you were ready. So this is actually really great timing to talk about it. So do you want to talk about the journey going through it? Because I think when we first met, actually, even at the London conference, actually in September 2017, I remember talking about it. But so like, what's the struggle been? Because and why you mention it now? Why? So if you just getting the licenses, everything you need just now, why is it taking this long?
Yeah, well, Martin Albert, a friend of mine who actually founded the company Bitalo back in 2013 already. He contacted me in 2014 via the German LinkedIn, because I was basically the only one who popped up when you entered Bitcoin and finance, and they needed a member of the board that had a business background that would satisfy the BaFin, like what KYC means, what AML means, and stuff like that. And the license we applied for is financial intermediation. And when I heard that, I thought, well, it can't take so long, because it's a super basic, it's like the very basic level financial license. And well, for various reasons, it still took more than 4 years. I had actually given up on the license because even our lawyer had told us that it looks like a political decision, like they just don't want to give us the license, because every time we solved a problem, they were asking for yet another thing we had to fulfill. And now we actually got it after years of waiting, and we're currently working on the last steps to go into beta, and we are brainstorming about a possible proposal, because by the way, I'm the CEO of Bitalo, so I can decide things if I want, and of course I want it to be a very Dash friendly platform. And as the whole technical infrastructure is entirely on-chain. So you have full transparency, everything on-chain, and that works perfectly well with Dash.
What coins are you going to accept? Is it Dash, Bitcoin?
We'll start with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Dash.
Nice.
Which Bitcoin Cash?
The
good one.
BCH. The Roger's coin.
One has to. Yeah. Shout out Roger. Hi Roger. In case you're seeing.
Yeah. Hello Roger, if you watch it.
So what is the what's the Dash scene like there in Switzerland? Is there a lot going on, or just getting started, or?
Well, I myself am just getting started in Switzerland. I just recently moved here, and I still have. I'm still in Germany as well, because I have to be in Germany to direct Bitalo. The Dash community in Switzerland, if I think of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, is probably the least active so far. There's lots of Bitcoiners here, and especially in Zug, the crypto valley, lots of ICOs and all kinds of projects, but not that much Dash yet. But I've talked to Jan from the embassy recently, and he said they have nice things in the pipeline for Switzerland as well.
Excellent.
Excellent. Yeah, and there's a couple Dash core team members based there as well. Anyway, Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt that real quick. So I see a couple times Dash Switzerland on social media. Could you go into that a little more? Just because I haven't got a chance to reach out to you and interview, do an article.
There's a group called Dash Switzerland. They're somehow related to Rodrigo from Brazil, I think. And I've tried to contact them, but they seem to be busy. They haven't answered yet. But they have a Telegram channel and a website. I'm trying to get in touch with them, but so far,
Mystery Dash group.
Yeah, and that's the thing about decentralized networks too, is people can just show up and say, "Yeah, I'm with them." All right, are you like? You can't. No one can say who's official and who isn't. We're all kind of official.
Yeah, exactly.
Officially unofficial.
Hey, yeah, it's officially loosely organized, if at all.
Yes. So Fabio, I've got to ask because I've known you for a long time now, and you're quite a bit of a rare breed because you got involved in cryptocurrency quite early, to be fair. And in terms of German culture, just in a European standpoint, where we pay our taxes and we're dependent on the state for a lot of things. You mentioned that you have a libertarian mindset. So how you must be just different to all your friends and family, because every time, even in the UK, it's they're just get jumping onto the train now, and London is the financial services hub of the world. So, what was your story getting into it? Because you must have had a lot of pushback in the beginning, because in terms of taking like a leap of faith, you in your location, that's a huge leap of faith.
Yeah. I'm now 42, and I've been a libertarian for 20 years, and I think that was a good training. Like being a libertarian in Germany is even more fringy than being a crypto fan. So, and for instance, I campaigned here I had the blog Bavaria for Ron Paul and stuff like that, and made videos for Ron Paul, and so I was a gold bug, and that's actually what got me into crypto, because that computer techie friend of mine who tried to explain Bitcoin to me, he always failed with his cryptography and stuff. But when he explained to me that, well, it's actually supposed to be digital gold, then I got the idea. And yeah, I mean, it's what I liked about crypto is it makes people think about what sound money is without having to mention Mises and Rothbard, etc. But it's more playful and techy, and in Germany, for some reason, even the Germans are in general very statist, but somehow Bitcoin caught on in Berlin, for instance, where there are a lot of non-libertarian Bitcoin fans. It somehow worked.
Yeah, I think we've got to give a bit of background for Germany, because even in terms of Europe, Germany's really unique when it comes to payments. In the UK, everyone's pretty much like tap and pay using NFC cards now. We're becoming much more of a cashless society, which is a term that's been thrown around a lot. But in Germany, they really care about their privacy. And I think it's something like 95% of transactions is all done in cash. They prefer to pay in physical cash, everything. They don't like to pay by card. They don't
Sounds like my kind of place, because I don't have a card.
Yeah, I mean it's slowly changing, and then here in Switzerland, for instance, paying by card works a little bit better than in Germany, because for some reason in Germany it also doesn't. I mean, people don't really like it in the first place, but it also don't really works. Like when I've been to Finland, and then you just swipe your card, and it's super easy. And then in Germany, you always have to type in the numbers, and it takes a while to dial. So it's much slower. But yeah, in general, Germans like cash much more than the Scandinavians, for instance, and the rest of Europe.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right. Well, while we're talking about the libertarian aspect, I think we should probably throw it over to Joel and Justin because, well, just tell us what you've been up to. You guys said you had a table, so what you been up to? How long has this event been going on for?
Yeah, so I'll let Justin do most of the talking, but we're at New Hampshire Liberty Forum. We were here last year. Right now, we got a table in back with giving away a bunch of Dash shirts, setting people up with wallets, handing out some cool flyers on how to get started, how to start using Bitrefill and stuff like that to start spending Dash around. And I'm going to be on a crypto panel tomorrow morning. So we're just here. Obviously, we've been very busy doing all kinds of other crazy stuff. But while Liberty Forum is going on, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're going to be here. We're going to be representing. It's been great so far. Lynn Olbrook is walking around here. I might have to get her to, when she walks by again, Ross's mom, to get on to say hi. But anyway, a lot of interesting people going around. Vin Armani's in the other room doing podcasts at the same time. This is clearly the better podcast, so that's why we're here. And yeah, what do you have to add, Justin, other than your tie?
Well, probably that the tie is awesome. I can't just ignore it. So I'm basically a walking billboard. Yesterday, I wore Mark's awesome Star Wars T-shirt about the instant send in 1.2 parsecs. But just it's an overall great event. It's always fun to come here. You just talk to people. Some people are already very, very involved in crypto. They know a lot about Dash. Some people never heard of it before, and it's just fun talking to them. Just because sometimes myself and I feel like a lot of people in the crypto space get caught up in their own little bubble. So it's always fun to talk to people who are libertarian or libertarian leaning, but haven't gotten into crypto that much and explain to them Dash and what it all does.
How many people's there? What's the attendance?
A couple hundred, I think, this year. There was a few more last time. Hold on.
Oh.
Somebody get us. Somebody's coming.
Say hi, Van.
Hi, Van.
Hi,
What's
Vin.
going on, guys?
Hey, it's been
I can't hear any of them. So
Yeah, just driving on the side. You may go back to your coffee.
So
Right.
what is the tell us about the Free State Project or tell us what's going on there.
Yeah,
What's it about?
Justin, go for it.
So let's see. Should I just start from the beginning about the Free State Project?
Yeah, why not?
All right, so Free State Project was originally a theorized paper saying what happens if we could get a bunch of people to move to a state with high representative proportions that we can try and influence laws, influence the government, and just build a libertarian community. And slowly but surely, more people are starting to move here after that move was triggered. And it's been interesting to see it to develop, not just in terms of laws, but just community. I grew up in Western PA. I lived in the New York City area, and I always knew a handful of libertarians, 1, 2, maybe 5 at most. But since I moved up to New Hampshire, it's just fun being around people who think similarly. And I don't have to have that base libertarian concept or base libertarian conversation with people, explaining the basic tenets, axioms. You can just go in depth, discuss much more than you ever could anywhere else. And it's been a blast to be up here. You can use crypto in so many places. And it's just a ton of fun to be up here. You go to events like these and you're exposed to so many different ideas within libertarianism. And it's just a great thought process to be in.
Yeah, and that's one thing I know. So I moved up for pro-liberty reasons, and quickly, like as soon as I landed, became very involved in cryptocurrency. And that's the thing. When you get a whole bunch of people, so if you have adoption talks with people, you start talking, hey, well, what's crypto? Oh, it's about this. Well, why do I use it? I don't know about it. Here, you get a group of thousands and thousands of people in one spot that already are sold on the premise behind cryptocurrency, already want decentralized money that the government cannot control, that anyone can use without censorship. They already agree. And so you can just talk to, hey, you heard about this crypto? If they say no, well, they're probably not very educated. But if they do, then you educate them. They're like, oh, yeah, great. Let's sign me up for that. Sure. You can go. Someone starts a business. In fact, there's a big, probably one of the largest Irish pubs in the state down the street, Murphy's Tap Room, was started by a Free State Project mover, Keith Murphy, who's also in the state legislature. And he said, and he owns a pub, and people just told him, you got to start taking crypto. And he's just like, I guess. Like, it's complicated for accounting, but I guess I have to, sort of, because I believe in the cause. And then there you go. And it makes it so, like, people say, oh, New Hampshire, what are they doing different down there? Well, as I always say, the thing that you're doing different wherever you see a Dash adoption cluster is, first off, the biggest thing is you have someone on the ground talking to merchants and actually going spending money at merchants, which the AnyPay folks are doing. But the number two thing here is just there's a collection of people that will just have that idea in their head that this is a good idea. And so it's just so easy after that.
How many people actually moved right now? How many people libertarians are there?
So those are two numbers. How many people have moved? Well, probably like 2,000, 2,500. But 20,000 pledged to move. Right. Now, for each like one person, the thing is, there's a reason they call this the live free or die state. It is a very naturally libertarian bent to it. I mean, like right down the street over there, I used to go down and protest unconstitutional police checkpoints with like a sign with a gun on my hip. And then people have just random people on the street would be like giving us high fives, bringing us coffee, and just saying, love what you're doing. And like, it's just that kind of a climate where everyone sort of already believes that you should live free as long as you're not hurting anyone else. Kind of has that on a lower level. We're just the hardcore version of the people who already grew up here.
Right. Let's bring it back to Dash. So
yeah,
I want to know what you've been doing for Dash there. You guys mentioned that Justin had made some leaflets. Can you show us the leaflets that Justin made and you've been giving out so we know what you've been doing?
They're at the table over there. I'd have to run and get it in the other room. But yes, it's like one side is just like the elevator pitch on Dash. The other side is just how to get the wallet, how to link with Uphold, and then Bit Refill, Discover Dash, all that stuff, how to actually use it.
Yeah, and I have a pretty good digital file, so I think it would make a great piece to share on social media, so we can probably share that around in the coming future.
Yeah, so I should point out that this is these flyers are created as part of the Street Team Initiative, which has been like a separate Dash Boost proposal, rather than try to like launch in this terrible market, try to launch another proposal. I started a little Dash Boost thing to just sort of, let's get some extra little materials. Let's pay for a little bit of travel to conferences, little stuff like that. And so this is like the first one of these things. It's kind of like the one pager. I'm going to then commission this lovely young gentleman here to create like a bigger, more involved pitch piece and then a smaller separate wallet card with more detailed instructions. And we're going to start experimenting with these materials, put them out there in publicly accessible places so that anyone else around say, hey, I have an event nearby in like Kansas or, Switzerland or wherever it is. I'm going to go print out some of these documents, or I'm going to take the document files, change some text, translate them, whatever, and just go and do stuff. Go and start running events, go start getting new Dash users, change the information as necessary, and just basically start this grassroots global Dash movement without making a giant treasury proposal.
What's the crypto scene like there? I'm guessing there's other coins there, or?
So New Hampshire was like Bitcoin Hampshire for a while. And then New Hampshire switched to Dash before anywhere else, really, because like late 2016, I was living all off of Bitcoin. I had no bank account, and I was losing my mind waiting 4 hours for 2 weeks for a confirmation. And so I remember the local crypto leaders, many of whom are here today, we all had like a meeting and just said, all right, BTC does not work anymore. We can't use this as digital cash anymore. It doesn't work. What are we going to use instead? And then the top two runners up were Ethereum and Dash. This is before 9 months, a year before Bitcoin Cash even existed. And so that was like when I first started to be like, I think this Dash stuff is probably good. So most of us voted for Dash. Of course, it's individualist, so everyone promotes what they want. There's like a Monero troll running around here who hates Dash and always like trolls us and stuff. So there's always like people doing whatever they want. But since then, if you look at the actual transaction statistics, most of these businesses around here take at the very minimum Bitcoin and Dash, sometimes a few other coins that are enabled through AnyPay. But if you look at the transaction statistics, it's like 90%. On a bad day, 70 to 80%, but like 90% Dash. I mean, who else is trying to spend stuff around here?
So who's second? Is it Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum? Or
it depends. When you have like conferences like this where you have out-of-state people coming in, usually BTC is second. Bitcoin Cash tends to be second on the off season. Litecoin, just no one uses that. Dogecoin is used more than Litecoin, I think. But yeah, it's mostly that. There's been a couple of XRP transactions, but people don't carry XRP to like spend on like coffee. It's just, no one does that, even like hardcore fans.
So Fabio, would you ever be interested in visiting New Hampshire? Sounds like you share the same ideals.
Yeah, like late
Yes.
June. Late June sounds like a perfect time frame. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah.
What's in late June?
Oh, that'll be Pork Fest, the
Oh.
Porcupine Festival.
Yeah, talk about it, Justin. Tell me how awesome it is.
Pork Fest is amazing. It is da bomb.
You heard it there first.
Yeah, I'm skipping Anacapulco this year, so I could go there
Yes.
instead.
Don't worry. You'll
New
be
Hampshire
much
is safe.
safer.
Yeah.
Yes, I was trying to find a way to reference without being disrespectful, but someone tragically passed away of unnatural causes in Acapulco recently. So, yeah.
Do we know anyone from Dash that's at Acapulco? Because
Danny.
I remember
Danny?
seeing a proposal.
I
Right.
think
Okay.
Rodrigo. Is
Rodrigo does it.
Rodrigo, yeah, he was invited to speak. Yeah.
Well, I hope he's safe. And
I think it's pretty
But yeah,
safe
real
there,
quick
yeah.
to go back to.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say go back to the Pork Fest thing. It's amazing to just come here, come to New Hampshire, drive up through the mountains, see the beautiful landscape, and you get there and there's so many people that take cryptocurrency, they take Dash. There's a ton of vendors, and even though it's in the mountains and there's not a huge internet connection, there's people going around giving away hotspots, letting you use their hotspots just so you can make these crypto transactions, and it's just amazing to witness what is happening.
Yeah, people were experimenting with mesh nets there before, mesh networking, and then it's kind of funny because it literally is a campground up in the woods, up in the mountains, but then just like this whole crypto anarchy kind of scene just like descends upon the campsite. And I remember in 2014 was the first year I went. I did not carry any fiat currency with me. I only spent Bitcoin the whole week. And every year since then, I've been able to do the same, except recent years I've been doing all Dash. And I remember AnyPay was there last time. Dash back was in full effect. You could go buy your little hot dog or whatever vent from the vendor and get Dash back. It was pretty great.
Are they still doing that Dashback?
Yep, I got Dash back on. They came here to the hotel bar here at the Hilton, and they got the hotel bar to take Dash, which is Derek J from AnyPay is a wizard. He's an absolute wizard. So he got them to take Dash, and then Dash back is on there because I bought a beer with Dash. It's all over Twitter, and yeah, they got Dash back on that. It was hilarious.
How much is it? It used to be 10% or it's been changed a lot. Yeah.
It's about 10%. In the beginning, they were experimenting with a fixed rate, like a $2 or $1 or something, which then some people were like, I'm going to buy like I'm going to buy like, my coffee and my food and like a side dessert. I'm going to buy them each separate transactions. And then, yeah, some people did that and it was a little sketch, but then they kind of reformulated it. Well, I mean, it did work as intended. It got people to go spend crypto who never would have spent it before. They're just like, I'm going to go spend it all the time. But then, like, once you get that, it's like, all right, now we're going to take it down to like an actual just percentage to just incentivize everyday use.
Yeah, and I've also noticed that's an interesting thing to talk with people up here because there's still people who view crypto as an investment and just say they will never spend it. And even with Dash, but it's awesome to talk to them about what's happening up here in New Hampshire and saying that, yeah, it might go up, it might go down, but you can go out and buy everyday items, just food with Dash. And once it starts becoming more realistic purchases, then they're more inclined to spend it because it's not a big purchase. You just say, hey, let's buy a beer with Dash. Let's buy some dinner with Dash. And it's not much of a switching cost to get them to say, yeah, I'll spend $5, $10. Whereas if you ask them to cash out $100 or a couple $1,000s at a time, then they start to get more nervous.
Yeah. Also, instead of cashing out, you just like drives me nuts. People who the hodl crowd just wants to buy, say, Bitcoin, and just like hold on to it until it goes way up, and then they sell it. It's like, well, don't even at that point, don't sell it. Just trade it directly for what you want. Like, and I know if it's a big purchase like a Lambo or a yacht or something like that, or a Swiss chalet, it's like that's one thing. But it's like, what if you just need a new low-end car? What if you need like a new dining room table from Overstock.com, like I bought with Dash a couple years ago? Like, that's how you do it.
Well, Fabio, let's switch it back to you. So you got into Dash when it was Darkcoin. So I'm presuming your main attraction was the dark send, the privacy feature. But Dash has evolved and changed quite a lot along the way. Do you still feel as strong in your commitment towards the project Dash now? Does it still align with you?
Yeah. What year was that? What year was it that you got into it?
It was April 2014.
Oh, wow.
Right at the beginning, like 2 months in.
Yeah, I had to read the whole first 3 to 4 months, and
let me interject for just a second because we're talking about PorkFest. So that's April 2014 is when you got involved. June 2014, there was someone at PorkFest selling bacon pancakes for Darkcoin.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, my very first purchase in real life with Dash was a beer in Munich, close to the Oktoberfest. But to Mark's question, I was interested by the anonymity feature, but it was not my main focus. And to me, it was actually always a little bit annoying that Darkcoin and later Dash was thrown into this. Well, it's an anon coin, because to me it was always much more. My main focus was actually on the governance structure, because I was witnessing pretty early on the troubles in the Bitcoin network, and I'm not a tech guy, so I listen to all the tech guys when they quarrel about whether the blocks should be 1 or 2 megabyte or whatever, and I don't really care. I mean, if I take what the tech experts decide, but the problem was that I saw with Bitcoin was that nobody could decide, and I realized that nobody was in charge, or that's a good thing when nobody is in charge, but the coordination of this ecosystem seemed close to impossible, and that's why I like the governance structure in Dash, and the way this bunch of cats could be herded somehow.
Did you hold Bitcoin before, or do you just jump straight into Dash?
I held Bitcoin before. Held Bitcoin before, and I always called Dash my little Bitcoin clusterfuck hedge.
that's a good term.
And well, it turned to grow larger than my Bitcoin investment. Yeah.
I'm just guessing here, but I bought my Darkcoin around the same time. And what prompted me was I saw it on the Kaiser report at the same time with Cody Wilson. And knowing that you're based in Europe, I'm guessing you probably watched the same episode and took the same actions as me. Is that right?
Yes, I blogged about it back then, I think. Yeah. I met Max Kaiser at the very first Bitcoin conference in Europe in Prague in 2011. So I was following what he does and remember the Darkcoin mention. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you know what? It was the same for me as well. I was all in Bitcoin, and I only got like 600 Darkcoin at the time. I just thought this project seems really interesting. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I'll just take some Bitcoin over here, and I'll just forget about it and see what happens with it. Because most of the action was on the Bitcoin talk forums back then, right? There wasn't all these big communities and things. You know, there was a Darkcoin Reddit back in the day, actually, but then that was the kind of location you'd go and check up once every 2 weeks just to see what was going on, because the community was still really small then. So, you know, now we get daily updates about all kinds of things. So how do you feel now? Because most people in the community already know you as a masternode owner because they see you commenting, voting on things and all sorts of stuff. So are you happy with the progress of Dash? We just had the summary call yesterday from the core team. Are you happy with the direction? Because when you first got in, it was different leadership. Now it's a much bigger team.
I'm very happy in general. I mean, of course, evolution could have already been here, but to me, it always made sense. Like I never had the impression that there are deeper underlying problems. I have full trust in the devs. I met Coda Block in London, and very happy that he's on board. The whole, yeah, I'm very happy about everything. The most recent problems with some proposal owners. That's a problem I see. I used to be very happy about, I told a lot of people about the proposal system, and now I have to add some caveats that it can be quite a hassle. Like, yeah, you get quite a negative feedback sometimes.
Dare I say, it can turn into a bit of a Thunderdome.
Yes, exactly. So not every team really wants to go through this kind of hassle, I think. But otherwise, on the other hand, I also see that, for instance, Dashwood is improving a lot, and then it's getting more and more professional. And I always think the problems that Dash has, other projects probably would wish they had those kinds of problems. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed as well. The thing is, we have a very loosely based governance system with Dash that just, if you control 1,000 units of Dash, you can vote. If 10% of those, net 10% vote for something, it passes. If not, it doesn't. Either giving money or just signifying by passing that, yeah, this is what the network wants. It's just very loose. And for such a large community now, I mean, you don't know if like a home defense system works unless it trips off once in a while. You don't know if you're any good at something until you have like adverse circumstances. You don't know how tough you are until you go through hard times. You don't know how good the governance system is until you have a few like bad kooky actors like show up and do whatever, until you have some friction, until people aren't fighting over it. It's just like, oh yeah, the budget system works great when we're all self-funding and everything. When Dash is $1,600 a coin, it's fantastic, so much money. And then it's like, oh, you mean 95% devaluation? Oh, you're gonna go broke? And then that's been, people are fighting over the limited treasury. There's stuff like that. There's good people who've had to scale back their work. There's a lot of bad people, or I wouldn't say bad, but a lot of less efficient projects that have just gone away. And Dash hit the bottom is still there, still working. People tighten their belts a little bit, like everyone else was following. I was in a Twitter exchange with Omar Baum, or Crypto's News, and he was just saying about another thing bites the dust. And I just said I made some Dash comment. He says, "Yeah, it seems like Dash's strategy is working so far to just not die while everyone else kind of does." And it's like, yep.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, in terms of the wider crypto market, I was telling someone just this morning, yeah, even though crypto is devalued by 95% overall, that's a sign of a healthy market, because there's a ton of ICOs, there's a ton of crap out there, and it all got cleared out. There's still a lot left, so I don't want to make predictions, but a lot could happen. But it's a sign of a healthy market that things go up and things go down. There's no one that comes in and says, oh, we need to institute this regulation or this law or that, or the other. Things just happen on their own. They clear themselves out, and the successful coins rise to the top. They just keep working hard and keep developing.
Let's legislate the Dash contractors a living wage.
Well, let's talk about the price for a second, because today there's been quite a lot. It's actually gone up 7%. I was actually upset.
Sir,
because
may we have pomp?
Well, this is probably going to upset a lot of people, but I'm actually a little upset because it's a buyer's market right now, and I'm accumulating. And like I was happy with the prices because I was trying to get as much as I can. I'm trying to sell everything and everything, from comic books to all sorts of things, just because I feel right now how I felt when Dash was $7. I think I was talking to Brian about this the other day. I was saying, like, I've got that feeling again, Brian, like something's going on here. It's like, what was that, like February 2016, maybe. Might be, actually, no, maybe, yeah, 2016, I think. Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, I've got this feeling. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Tonight's gonna be a good night.
So like, yeah, so I've been accumulating. So although I'm sure many people are happy to see the Dash price up 7%, I'm kind of like, come on, man, I want to get more Dash.
Yeah,
Quick.
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that meme of the comic of Batman and Iron Man fighting each other by just throwing money at each other, and then Spider-Man's down at the bottom, kind of collecting it from the bottom. And so it's just like the bears, like you just take that meme, but bear heads. It's like bears throwing money at each other, and there's Mark down there scooping up what he can while he can.
Mark's going to own 100 Mastinodes at the end of the next few years.
Mega whale Mark.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? It's actually been a really difficult position, and I don't know if this will be interesting for people in the live chat. So let us know. But my struggle has been that you all know that I hate dinosaur paper money, right? But I've always been quite diversified. I was into precious metals and stuff before cryptocurrency, so I had this real dilemma being at this price point where I'm just like, do I sell off some of my precious metals holdings and switch it over to cryptocurrency? Because you shouldn't always have your eggs in just one basket. You should always be diversified a little bit. But I was just looking at the precious metals. I'm just thinking, well, it's good to have some, but after seeing Cyprus happen, I can't spend the physical online, and I think now we're a whole other generation on from 2008, and if there is to be another financial crisis, Italy's just been announced in a recession. I think people, and especially hedge funds that mostly trade in the Forex 24-hour markets, are much more likely to go to cryptocurrency as a safe haven. So to cut long story short, I thought, well, yes, gold and silver's gone down since 2012. It might go up, it might double, it might go up triple if we're lucky. But cryptocurrency is down nearly 95% at the moment. So, that could go up tenfold easy. And that's just retracing where it was before without even going to all-time highs. So for me, that's been my dilemma. So obviously selling things off, buying, accumulating, it's a lengthy process. But I think that might be a struggle that quite a lot of people are going through right now. And especially if you have allocated precious metals holdings, just like cryptocurrency, your private keys, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So yeah, now's the time to reflect on your holdings and just see where you align. Sometimes even in a down market, you got to ask yourself the serious questions, like, what do you truly believe in?
Do y'all pay the VAT on the allocated holdings, or is it just the physical?
Now, it depends on the service. So in terms of VAT, while you're holding it in the service, when you're holding it in the service, depending where the vault is, you may not have to pay VAT. But if you cash out, this is just specifically for silver, then you may have to pay. Like, oh, if you pay out that, if you take money out, withdraw, then you may have to pay that. With gold, it's tax-free. But silver, even if you're buying legal tender silver Britannias, there's a 20% VAT tax. And of course, above the spot price, you've got to pay a premium for the coin and then VAT. So even people in the UK, my friends and family, look at precious metals like really bizarre. I know I've joked to you guys in the after party and stuff before, but if I start talking about gold and silver to friends and family, they're like, "Oh, you a pirate? Like, what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it in your treasure chest?" Like, they just don't get it. They can't grasp the concept. And that's the thing. It's just, if they look at the spot price of what gold or silver is on a chart, and then they look at the shop and they're saying, well, especially with silver, so I've got to pay that and then 20% on top of that. So I've got to wait for it to go all this way up just before I break even. What's the point? It's like the system's rigged against you. So even the people that learn sound money and the principles and fundamentals of what real money is and the Ponzi scheme or of what fractional reserve banking and central banking is, just looking at the silver, which, I'm more bullish on than gold, even then, in terms of pushing it as a valid option, the odds are stacked against you from the very beginning. So it's frustrating, but I can understand why people that even are aware of the situation won't go into silver because of that. And of course, the price of gold's out of reach for a lot of people. It's a more expensive investment, but swings and roundabouts. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Here's the best option here. That's your Dash Silver.
Wow, that's
Is it an actual Dash coin?
Kazash's
Yeah, it's a hand
style.
poured. It's hand poured. Only problem is it says Dash coin, and I actually reached out to the guy and told him, "Hey, we've got a new logo, and it's
That's
actually
not good
Dash."
anymore. It's outdated. You,
Yeah,
you
no,
can't
he
spend
said-
it on anything.
I told him, well, yeah, you should probably pour some. What's a good excuse to pour some more? And he said, yeah, he definitely would. So yeah, there'll be more.
I'm looking forward to Voltoro finally launching their service because that should avoid the VAT problem with the silver as soon as they've. I mean, first they have to activate Dash, and but I know someday they will also offer silver, and as it's stored in Switzerland, you don't pay VAT. And as far as I know, as far as I understood
That's actually a really good point because that means there's going to be a gold to Dash trading pair, and just seeing that on a chart will be interesting to see how that works over time.
Do we have any updates when that's going to happen? It's been a while. It should be.
They had a post recently, a blog post, and I'm in talks. Josh Shigala, the founder of Voltoro, is a friend of mine. He will be in Acapulco, as far as I know, by the way. And
Yes, if you see him, say hi because I popped in. I hung out with him in Vegas. Very tall guy.
Yeah, very
And
tall
Voltero
guy.
they'll ship you the gold, right? If you ask them to.
What?
Will they actually
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, they do. In Switzerland, I don't know if they ship it anywhere else, but you can pick it up in Switzerland if you want.
Yeah, but I think it's
Gives me an
mostly
excuse to go
allocated,
to
right?
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Voltoro was one of the first people to have those gold bars, which they're broken down into like grams, right? So you could snap them off, right? From memory. Is that correct? They're like little chocolate bars.
Peter Schiff had those. Peter Schiff had those. I remember. I wanted one of those.
I've got some of them. They're nice.
Yeah, but no, Voltoro is just you have the gold in a Swiss vault and can buy it from, I think the smallest denomination is actually 1 gram or something with crypto. Very close to spot market for small amounts of gold. That's pretty good because usually you pay huge premiums if you only buy like 10 grams or so. And yeah, but I don't know the exact date.
I was thinking of why it's important for them to ship your gold, just the option of, is because I'm sure people heard about Venezuela and Maduro, even though I'm assuming most people don't support him. But the UK just said, I believe it was the UK, they just said, nope, we're not shipping you your gold. They just said, we're not going to do that. And it's part of the private keys thing. It's not really your gold if it's somewhere else. There's always that chance possibility. They will just say, nope, we're not doing that.
It's a Bank of England. I don't know if that's the same as the UK.
Yeah. Bank of England. Yeah, so yeah, it was like $1.2 billion worth of gold or something that we're holding for them. Yeah, and they wouldn't release it. It's crazy. So I will just say for those that are watching in Europe, obviously I've just disclosed that I'm actually selling precious metals to accumulate Dash. But if you do want to acquire precious metals, there is a website called celticgold.eu, I believe, and they're accepting Dash now to purchase precious metals. So, and that covers all of mainland Europe. So if that's something you're into, go check that out. That's a fairly recent thing that I discovered recently. So yeah, I'm just going the other way at the moment because I see more opportunity in Dash. But hey ho, I'm Stay Dashy for a reason, right? So
Mark's a player.
I've also been adding at these prices.
That's the really interesting thing, because when the price comes down, it increases distribution, right? It allows more people to come in. And one of the interesting things that I've been talking about in the after party to the regulars that come in, just saying like, well, look, guys, we've been in the community for a long time. I see a lot of the same faces that were in the Slack that are now in the Discord, and we've been around and we're all diehard Dash fans. But how many of you are actually buying Dash right now? And we're doing a poll, and not many of them were buying it. But even old timers now, that even some that have got lots of skin in the game, they're accumulating because they see the opportunity and that they're getting that warm, fuzzy feeling again. And people that are new to it, they're scared because they're not used to these market cycles. But people that have been through the game and the system before are just thinking, this is a great opportunity and I'm taking advantage of it. So
yeah, I noticed that the accumulation trends, from what people have been telling me, by the way, tends to be the opposite. It tends to be when the price is low, it goes into fewer people's hands, and when the price is high, it gets thrown all over. The newbies are buying it when it's high, like the old guard are just spending it on stuff. Oh, I might as well buy my new yacht now, and then they do stuff like that. It just goes out, and then when the price goes down, it's like, oh, I gotta sell. I got bills to pay, and then you're like, oh, I got 10 master notes. 11 or 12 won't hurt. And then they go into that. I believe there was some blockchain analysis done on a few of the top coins that found that over the last like December period or whatever, like for example, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin especially accumulated a lot into very few hands. Like the supply kind of contracted, and I can't remember if something like that happened with Dash or if Dash was the opposite. But just from there are some community members who monitor the top Dash addresses, and which tend to be exchanges, and then they watch when they go up or down in terms of supply, and when they're accumulating, it's like bear market. When it's going to be bull market is when the top largest addresses start to trickle out Dash, because then that means they're coming out of exchanges into people's hands.
Hey, what all's going on there? You're there for 3 days. What all happens there?
Yeah, so Vin Armani's doing his podcast the whole time. There's a lot of talks about different topics. Tomorrow morning, I'm on the crypto panel, moderated by our very own Naomi Brockwell. Some of us remember her from the podcast before. And yeah, then there's a big exhibitor hall. It's generally about Liberty and New Hampshire, but of course, crypto is a big part of that. And especially when the hotel bar here is going to be taking Dash, it's just a great way of like getting new people who don't know what this whole freedom thing is. Be like, hey, guess what? You can go pay with some digital money that no one person created, and no one can censor you from using. It's a great instructional tool, which on this very brief side ramble, that does annoy me when you go to crypto conferences and you can't even pay for anything. Maybe the conference itself, but other than that, nothing in crypto. In fact, I remember I was invited to a conference to speak about being unbanked, about banking the unbanked, because I was unbanked, and they offered a room for me, but they needed a credit card for incidentals, which I didn't have because of the reason I was invited there. And then they just couldn't do anything about it, so I had to use cheap air to get a room, another hotel, because it's just like the connection. We will not see the explosion in adoption and correlating price, in my opinion, until we start seeing some actual fundamentals behind it, some actual use. Until the whole, oh yeah, crypto's great. Like, do you use it? No. Oh, where can I spend it? What are you like? What companies are being powered by these smart contracts? What are we? What's actually using these IoT devices? What kinds of coins are using? What content platforms are running on? Once we start actually having answers to that, like, hey, and you run into a random person who's not a crypto nut, who's actually using something decentralized, then it's over.
Yeah, I know Brian's dying to learn this, so I know I was going to ask you, so I'd like to do it on the podcast. So for those that haven't been to dashnews.org today, just before we started the podcast, a new article has gone out about Alt36, and as Joel was talking about use cases, that's something that's been really championed by the community, and we've been waiting for a long time for it to launch, and they were pretty good at giving monthly updates. But I think in terms of public launch, the kinds of details are always kind of a bit hazy and a bit fuzzy. And Joel's just done an update, got some fantastic quotes in an article. Go check that out. But Joel, do you just want to talk about the Alt36 article? Right. What was your general feeling? Because you spoke to them, you got the quote. How do you feel?
Well, first off, if any of you have this on like a computer or whatever like that, go to dashnews.org, open the Alt36 article in a new tab, finish listening to this podcast, and then read the article.
Or don't do it while you're driving.
Yeah, definitely don't podcast, drive, and read articles all at the same time, especially not with a joint. That will be disaster. So now we've gotten that disclaimer out of the way. Alt36 has apparently, for a few months now, had a cash management service for dispensaries. And now, Justin and I were at CanMed just in October, and we talked to actual dispensaries and actual suppliers of dispensaries there, talked about their problems that we hear, cash handling, so much of a pain. We hear all this theoretical stuff, but then now we actually talk to the real business people there. They're like, yeah, that's terrible. And I remember one guy was saying, yeah, we have one of our customers. We're based in Atlanta. One of our customers is a dispensary in Las Vegas, and which is like 20 hours by car or something crazy like that, or more. And then they say every time they have to pay us, they have to send an armored truck all the way out, like days on end, full of cash, full of paper money, Mark's favorite thing, just to pay their bills. And so what Alt36 now has is the cash management service where you can just schedule a pickup time for your cash. Just on schedule it. An armored truck will come by. You just fork all the wheelbarrows of cash into the armored truck. They pay you Dash for it. They exchange it for Dash that then you pay your supplier with via the CanTrade platform. And so basically it's for those B2B kind of transfers. You just transfer a ton of cash into Dash and pay your bills. And I didn't realize how much they're doing all this. It sounds like it's to the tune of like 150 grand per week in Dash cannabis sales, in Dash cannabis transfers. I mean,
yeah, that's going to make a huge difference in the cannabis industry just because the way these states are legalizing it, they're separating every part of the process, as sometimes occurs naturally, but you sometimes see people control the distribution chain, the supply chain, the growing chain, but the way they're legalizing it, everyone has to be separate, and they're actually regulating who can own what. So it's going to be a big business in terms of paying your supplier, your distributor, your seller, your geneticist, your tester, everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And just see those kinds of, it's the public beta for their B2B function. And just to see that sort of volume on that small limited public beta with 15 to 30 partners or whatever right now, that's pretty good. Now, supposedly over the next 3 months, they're rolling out their B2C beta, where they've pre-registered 500 customers or more. And over the next 3 months, they're hoping to onboard about 1,000 new merchants to accept Dash, new dispensaries. And as part of that, a customer, someone like me, will be able to just pay Dash we'll go to a dispensary just with my Dash wallet and buy Dash. And I'm sorry, buy cannabis with Dash. Now, people who aren't as fortunate to have a bunch of Dash will be able to download the Alt36 app, link their bank account, and just buy cannabis through that. It buys Dash, and then the Dash gets sent for the actual payment. 0% fee, no fee to the customer. It's all passed on to the merchant. So then anyone can just get an app, start buying their weed, and without even knowing that they're using Dash. However, down the line, there'll be dispensaries. Well, of course, dispensaries don't get charged as much to just accept Dash transaction as they do to pay the conversion fee and then accept the Dash transaction. So they will be able to incentivize people to just pay straight up in Dash through like extra double reward points or whatever like that. So this is going to be pretty huge. The cannabis business is finally moving in a big way in the Dash sector. Alt36 was funded years ago, and like was it January of 2018 was when they were trying to project like opening doors for business. I'm guessing it's a lot harder than it looks. There's a lot more hurdles, a lot more testing and all this stuff like that. So it seems like it's been delayed. Just again, evolution delayed, right? Everything hardcore and amazing tends to be delayed, which I don't know if that's an excuse or if that's in general, like a genuine reason, but stick in there, stick with the game. And that's one reason why I think, again, speaking for others, I think they've been relatively quiet lately, has been because they're just focusing on building, came out with a lot of hype and a lot of like, well, this is going to be great. A lot of hopium behind them, and then it's just like, oh, it's harder than we thought. And then there's delays and there's delays and there's delays and they're just being quiet where they're actually building up real results before they say, hey, guess what? We actually have real results. So I think that explains some of the less noise, but I mean, they seem to be been very happy to divulge the information that they have so far.
It's a very welcome update. But
yeah, I was happy to see it said feeless in there because I was worried about their fees. But yeah, you said it was feeless, and then there's also like the rewards that they're doing.
Feeless for the consumer, so it's passed on to the merchant. So that would be about 5% for the merchant.
Oh, so see that? Yeah, that is a bit rough because I mean there's talk about cannabis banking legislation going through now. So, I mean, if they're competing with the current system, which is like what, 15 to 20, 25%,
25 or more.
Yeah, that's okay. But if you get banking in there, and then the dispensaries can get it, for 2 to 3% of the credit cards, that could be a problem. So,
Well, yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. Right now, you have to go through the pain of getting cash, especially like an ATM fee, which is like a $2-3 fee at the ATM just to get the cash out to buy your cannabis with, and then they have that huge fee on their side. So in this case, the customer doesn't have to go through the inconvenience. They don't have to spend the actual fee to get the cash out, and the dispensary saves a whole bunch of money. So it like everything with cryptocurrency and stuff, we're always at the crucial spot where the worse the world is, the better cryptocurrency looks as an alternative. Like, what would happen if, say, Venezuela stabilized and the currency, the fiat currency, they said we're just using US dollars instead, and it just becomes very stable. It's like, yeah, crypto's still better. It's just not quite that much better. And then that's why you're trying to get as much momentum in as possible while things are there's a big disparity, but that doesn't mean that it's all lost afterwards, especially if you can just accept digital payments and not have to do the conversion, the fiat to Dash to fiat. If you just do Dash to fiat or Dash to then you pay an expense and then they do fiat, those fees go way down with each step. So I think they're just doing this big system right away, and then as soon as you get a bunch of people on board, then you start to remove the conversion steps and then just have a unified Dash ecosystem. And eventually you just don't need to convert at all.
This is a really good update, but without wanting to throw a spanner in the works, and it's nothing to worry about, but I would like, and I think the masternode in the community, I think would like to have clarity on how much longer they have on the exclusivity agreement, which initially was 36 months. Now, if that did start January of last year, we've still got many months to go, but we're still none the wiser. So I would like some clarity from them on that front. It seems that they're fully committed to Dash right now. So I'm not making any accusations, but it's just kind of like, just so we all know where we stand. But yeah, it's a very welcome update, and I look forward to the coming months.
Yeah. And here's another aspect to that in theory, right? What if Alt36 wants additional help co-promoting with Dash at events, wants additional integration funding from the treasury, things like that? In my mind, that would be relatively easy to do. Would be, hey, let's tack on another few months of the exclusivity agreement in exchange.
Let's get some equity out of them.
Dash Ventures, baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Fabio.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Say hi to Lynn.
Hey. Hi, Lynn.
Hello.
How's it going?
She can't really
She
can't quite hear the audio because of this, but I just wanted to say hi. Dash community's a big fan of you, and yeah, all your work too. Free Ross, of course. Just say hi.
Hey, love the Dash people. Hi, guys. Good to see you.
Hashtag
All right,
Free Rock.
thanks.
Sign the petition. Okay, Fabio. What's the current status with Germany? When are they going to legalize cannabis so then you can get some Alt36 action over there, and then you could do some biz dev and hook some people up?
In Germany, they actually legalize cannabis through pharmacies. So you have to. I think that's how it started in the US as well. But I know most of what I know about the US and cannabis is from South Park. So I don't know how accurate that is. But yeah. It's starting in Germany, but I think the topic is so touchy that Germans probably won't mix it with cryptocurrency on top. But yeah, I'm following what's happening in that sector as well. Yeah.
In the UK, we're so early in the stages. Right now, on the mainstream media, they're still trying to wrap their head around the whole CBD angle. So that they're just having conversations like, is CBD good for wellness and health? And it's kind of like on the morning chat shows, and they're kind of debating and all this sort of stuff. So I don't think anything's going to happen in the UK for a long time. Although,
That's sad.
Although I do believe in the similar situation, I think it's pretty extreme cases, but you can get it through prescription through your local GP, which is like our doctors and stuff. But I think you know, I don't think, I think it's pretty rare, to be fair. But hey, there's so much to play for. So although all 36 is focusing on 4 states now, I believe, I think this is going to be a rapidly growing market, and it could be huge. I mean, I think it could be bigger than the alcohol market eventually, right? So yeah, and Canada as well. I don't think all 36 have any action in Canada as well, but Canada's seems to have taken up the whole cannabis thing. I see lots of companies and stocks coming out of Canada. So
well, that's the thing we have to realize is about integrating into these markets. Right now, every business we compete with around here, we compete with credit cards, just crypto instead of credit cards. And so our nightmare scenario for all 36 in cannabis is it just becomes another business. But which means you can still get integrated in the cannabis industry, even if there's no banking issues anymore, which I just can't quite see that happening, especially not right away, not very quickly. And especially when you have an underdeveloped payment processor industry around the cannabis industry where everyone's already using something else. And also, just imagine if you just have that Alt36 style head start into an industry before credit cards come in. I mean, imagine that. Wouldn't that be fantastic? What if coffee was illegal for anything except cash? And then all of a sudden you just get like a Dash payment processor for coffee. And then all of a sudden, oh, now you can use cards now, but you already got a big leg up. The old school payment processor, accepting digital payments for lower fees, faster confirmations, all the other cool stuff we love. It's like we got the head start. That's already pretty good.
Yeah, maybe we can even take the dispensaries out the picture. With evolution coming up, someone could build a DApp.
Hey, Dash rules. Everyone's using Dash here. They have the choice to use any coin they want. And why do they always use Dash?
I wonder, it might be the Dash back.
That's part of it, but also it's just a great coin. It rocks.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, that was Derek from AnyPay. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, someone could create a DApp, like Open Bazaar, maybe, and then you could have, like, cannabis sales. Maybe they could link up with, like, a kind of Uber Eats style, but we can get AB involved in home delivery of cannabis.
Oh, yeah.
That would be amazing.
That was another thing that came out of the conference call on yesterday, which I believe I'd heard it mentioned somewhere else prior to that, but it's still it bears repeating. AB Rideshare apparently did a beta in Colombia where they delivered 3,000 rides for Dash. I mean, as an Uber competitor. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. That's all I know. Just I've heard that. And even if it's a one-off, even if it's like whatever, it's still like that's still massive exposure. It's still real world use, and it's still a great sign.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you mentioned that, because yesterday that was the first I heard of it in the summary call, I think, for most people. And I've actually today had a few messages from people in Colombia as well, some well known in the Colombia thing, and they're saying that they were unaware that this was even going on. So I think at some point, if we can try and get an update from Ryan or AB directly, not just to verify the numbers, but just to get a bigger picture idea of what's going on. So yeah, that for me was very, very exciting and unexpected announcement, because we did an article on dashnews.org about AB a long time ago, because they were an Arizona startup. So I was completely oblivious that this test phase was even going on in Colombia, because they were like a setup close to the SkySong Center. I remember there was like a pitch, and they had a website, but it didn't seem like there was any activity going on for a long time. And it was just a big question mark saying, well, they launched, but what happened? So this is great news. And now we know that the product's out there and it's been tested and it's working. But I would just like to get an update on what those numbers are, what the plan is, and how they're going to move forward from here, not just for us, but for the community. So
yeah, absolutely. That's the thing is, like, with cryptocurrencies, how so many fail. And that's the nature of a free market. And I love it, is so many things fail. And because that means that only the best rise to the top. And of course, we've seen that with all kinds of things. Like, I remember a day when we used to report on every single amazing project that got funded by the Dash treasury. As soon as the super block happened, we'd be like, a whole spate of articles go out It's just like, hey, Dash funded this awesome thing, Dash funded that awesome thing, isn't it fantastic? And then we check back on those later. We're like, oh, 90% of these just kind of like fell to bits over time, just like people starting businesses. And so now we only report when they've actually shown some real results. But that's, I mean, I don't want to be not hard on people who don't deliver. I just want to have us the attitude of let's get in as many places as we can, so that if 1 in 10 of them succeeds, we're already pretty good.
Yeah, the AB, they had that proposal, but I think it didn't pass. There was some questions about regulatory compliance. I don't know if they worked that out or not. I'd like to see like a video of that kind of working and stuff.
Yeah, they've updated their website since the first time we I mean, when we did the article, I mean, it feels like a year ago. But the only video I could find at the time was actually the gentleman that runs it given a pitch talk to as a Kickstarter kind of style things. Like, here's the idea, but the concept of it sounded really great because he was comparing it to, in the States, I think you got an app called Lyft, but mainly the main one was Uber, and he was just saying, like, for, you know, in terms of drivers and how much money they make, this is a much more decentralized way of doing it, and drivers can make a lot more money, and it's done in a decentralized way. So the concept sounded absolutely fantastic. So I hope it does find itself back stateside eventually.
So, the good thing is there's a few different options. Like, for example, there's a company called Arcade City that's recently, it's been in the process for years trying to do a much more decentralized alternative to Uber. And I know that the founder is very crypto friendly, and I talked to him before. He's interested in integrating Dash once they really get going. And in the meantime, Bitrefill has Uber gift credits, so you can just literally instant send, bam, get a transaction, get the code right away. Anytime I travel, I just use Uber paid for by Dash. So it's good that we have lots of different avenues over here, and for just one industry, just the rideshare industry.
Yeah, we probably need an update article on them to see what's going on with the whole scene there.
What I like about this, though, and I hope people realize this watching, is that this is going to enable people to earn Dash. Like, people can just become a driver with AB. Obviously, I don't know what the requirements are, but I imagine it's probably similar to Uber, and then can go out and earn Dash. So I think this is another great onboarding mechanism, and I hope it does go widespread. Obviously, you got to test things out initially, but if the Colombia situation is correct, and it must be because Ryan said it, so I have no reason to doubt what he says. But yeah, that is fantastic news.
Let's start wrapping up.
Okay, Fabio, thank you for coming on. Where can people go out to find more about your business? Do you have like website, social media?
Well, we're organizing all that stuff, but you can go to bitalo.de, bitalo.de. And the other project is Lamium, LAMIUM.io. Or they can contact me on the Dash Talk Discord.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, wait, we have one final appearance. Say hi, Roger.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, how's it going?
This is the guy who translates all these podcasts into audio format.
Yes, that's me.
So sorry he can't hear you, but we're wrapping this thing up. Just thought we'd say hi.
Good seeing you guys.
Bring another guest of honor. Thanks, Roger. Bye.
Excellent. And he helped facilitates Porkfest as well, correct?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, perfect timing to wrap this up. So, right, Joel, I'll hand it over to you to do the outro, and then I'll take us out.
Yes, make sure to smash for Dash, hit that like button, leave comments, because like I actually do read them and go through them, and sometimes the podcast has like 2 comments and they're just like great show. I'm just like sad because I want to engage more with users. I don't have much of a social life. What can I say? But this thing turns out, as that gentleman right here, Roger, he makes all these into audio only formats in case that's what you're into. And so iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, etc. Tomorrow, Mark's going to put up the post with all the links down below to all those things. So if you want your audio only game on, get in on that. Also, not me because I'm at a conference, but everyone else is going to be invited to the after party go to the Dash Talk Discord. You go to staydashy.com. How are you going to forget that? Am I right? And then you get in Dash Talk Discord. You just start asking, where the after party at? And it's just like this, just a bunch of us here on a video chat together, up to 10 people at a time, up until the sun comes up Mark's time. Sorry, Mark. I know you need to sleep one of these days, but today's not that day. This day we party. So there's going to be the after party. You're going to be open to that, and it's going to be a fantastic time.
Excellent. Well, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. This was episode 90. I'm looking
Grandpa's age.
Yeah, getting on. Like, there's so many episodes now. But anyway, glasses time.
Delete a few.
I know you guys have been waiting for this moment, and I don't want to let Justin down because he's got his tie on today, which I'm super envious of. But yes, thank you for watching this. Have a fantastic weekend. As always, stay positive, stay humble, but most importantly, stay dashy. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye, guys. Stay free.